Evander?
With a Holyfield?
Yes, Holyfield. Yes.
Yeah. So the thing with Holyfield was when I first started training fighters, Lou Duva and George Benton came down here to Texas, and they had all the guys training in Pasadena, Texas, which is about 45 minutes from me. Well, they came to our gym and watched me, do some hand pads with some fighters, and then they came and asked me would I be interested in helping them train, basically everyone that fought on the '84 Olympic team.
Hmm.
And at first I was like, nah, because I just quit boxing, and so I didn't really want to do it. So, but then they came back about a month later and said, look, man, we really want you to come and help us. And I did. And the first person they threw me in with was Evander Holyfield doing the hand
Wow.
pads.
Wow. And how would you rate him then and rate him in the prime of his career? Because you had him awfully young. How would you rate him
Oh
as
man, at the beginning,
uh
Evander, the real deal is the right name for him
really?
because Evander Holyfield is the real deal, and he just kept getting better and better and better, you know. And I even had him at the end of his career when he had so many injuries that I mean, I don't know how he was still able to fight with all the injuries that he had.
Mm. And you also trained Tyson as well, yeah?
I trained him only for the Lennox Lewis fight.
And what was it like training Tyson? I mean, I did you think he had a lot left in the tank? Looking back at it, or was it like because it seemed like because in Mike Tyson's interviews, I'm pretty sure you heard him say, "Man, I was just depleted. Basically, I just was in it for the money. I owed so many people money. I just had to do it." Training Tyson then, and what you saw on pay per view versus Lennox Lewis, how would you gauge, and what percentage would you say he had left, mentally and physically?
He didn't have a lot left. He didn't have a lot left at all. It was,
Wow.
at the beginning of training, when I got there, he was already there for like 6 weeks before I got there.
Hmm.
And then when I got there, we had about 8 weeks to go. So I just finished training Vernon Forrest to fight Shane Mosley. So I couldn't be there for the early times. But once I got there, I was like, man, he don't have a lot left. But then, things picked up. And man, Mike really was looking sharp. He was looking really good. And I said, man, this guy, he has an opportunity to win this fight. I understand that, you know, we just got to try to get, if we can get this a little piece of the old Mike for like 8 to 10 rounds, I think he can knock Lennox out. But it didn't go that way.
It didn't go that way. Yeah, man. Uh, how much if we look at like the Razor Ruddocks fight or like Michael Spinks would be a great fight because I'm sure many of the fans left. If Michael Spinks was 100% of Mike Tyson, what percentage of Mike Tyson walked in the ring against Lennox Lewis? Would you say?
I would say maybe he was probably about 35% of himself, which is not a lot in the sport
No,
of boxing.
that's not a lot.
He wasn't, I was trying to hope that we at least had 50% of Mike, but we just didn't have it.
Wow. Wow. And man, and you know what the funny thing is? It seemed like Lennox Lewis knew that. Like, oh man, it seemed like he always walked with that broad shoulder, that arrogance, you know what I mean? But it seemed like, man, I'm about to get all this money from this dude. This guy is nowhere near the man that he was. Have you had conversation with Lennox Lewis? Is that why you laughing or
Yeah, that's why I'm laughing because they knew that they
uh-huh.
wasn't getting the 100% Mike Tyson. They knew
Hmm.
that. I
Right,
think everybody knew that.
right,
But look, Mike. But once you're a puncher, you always could be a puncher.
right.
And we were just hoping that we can get Mike in good enough shape to where we can get that head movement going, that
Yeah.
fast pace going, and clip Lennox. You know, if we could hurt him, I felt we had a chance to knock him out.
How was he in training? Was he a good person to train, or was he like, I'll be there at 5, then he comes at 8?
Oh man, Mike was there every day. He was every time we asked him to be there, he was there. We didn't have
Wow.
any problems with him at all. You
Uh-huh.
know, he wanted to win this fight. You know, that was the most important thing. And
Oh
I
yeah.
think that's what we had to have. We had to have that in order for it to work.
hmm Can you take us behind the veil a little bit? Because I was a little kid, young kid back then. I didn't know much about it, but can you take us behind the scene in the process and getting to Memphis? Or did you know about the business of boxing to get to Memphis? Like, how challenging was it behind the scenes? Because Mike had all those suspensions and all that, and y'all took the fight to Memphis. How? What did that look like from your perspective?
I really didn't have a question. I'm sorry.
Okay, yeah. What was it like from your perspective? I was a little kid then, so I not a little kid, but a young adult. When Mike Tyson fought Lennox Lewis, and Mike Tyson had all these suspensions, right? And what was it like behind the scenes trying to get the fight to Memphis? Because you guys were in search of a city in the state to put it on.
Right. Well, it wasn't hard at all for us
Mhm.
basically because Mike, his people basically handled everything. Shelly Finkel and
Yeah.
Mike had some people working with it also. So, he did have a lot of suspensions everywhere, but when they found Memphis, you know, when they found Memphis, they say, hey, that's the perfect place to put it. And I thought it was too, because you got two African American fighters fighting, and Memphis is basically,
Yes.
all black, basically, and I think it was the right place to put it. And hey,
Mm.
the crowd showed out. They really
Didn't
did.
didn't they? Yeah, man. Quick question: pork or beef ribs? You said Memphis, so I got to ask you: pork or beef ribs, Coach Shields?
Pork,
Oh, so you went to Porky's then? You went to Porky's and had that?
absolutely.
Yeah, man. I've been to Porky's quite a few times, man. The co-host is on. What's up, DB?
Greetings, the legendary and great and phenomenal and awesome coach Ronnie Shields. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing great, man. How about yourself?
I'm unbelievable. Glad to have you here with us. Man, I want